Guys, absolutely massive news for Battlegrounds. It's finally here. We've all asked for it as a community for such a long time now, and Playerunknown and Bluehole have listened, and now Battlegrounds finally has a car horn. Yeah, that's right, you can finally press mouse 1 in a car to sound off your horn. Okay, that's not quite what we were waiting for, but it's cool nonetheless. However, first person only servers is what we were after, and now we have them. Currently, you can play solos and duos in both NA and EU in first person only with other regions, and squads will come at a later date. This is combined with a first person FOV slider which ranges from 80 to 103, bit of a weird number to finish on, but whatever, and it makes a massive difference. Time will tell how much people really enjoy the first person mode, but after playing a few games today, I have to say I'm in love. It's on the main client at the moment and there's been a lot of lag issues. Apparently they're going to do a hotfix to fix that. After about 10 minutes the lag goes away and you can experience some glorious first person only Battlegrounds. So after playing first person for quite a bit now, I really like it. The fights are so much more tense. I know that if I'm hiding somewhere that a guy can't just use third person and see where I am. And I know that if someone is ahead of me, camping behind a tree or behind some rocks, I know that they're going to have to make themselves visible to actually see me, or of course they might hear me. Not being able to see around you in 360 degrees means that you're going to have way more moments where you just end up running into someone and you both surprise the hell out of each other, turning Battlegrounds into a horror game. Don't get me wrong, it's not finished yet, this is just the first iteration of first person mode, but I think it's a very good start. The size problem about the proportions that I talked about in a previous video is still definitely there in first person, so some camera tweaks or overall scale issues definitely need looking at in the future. Apparently one of the devs has actually addressed this and admitted that there's a problem there as well. The camera stays pretty still when you loot as well to save you from getting overly dizzy whilst you're looting. That's probably a good idea, but as I just said, I think this is an excellent start. They've actually moved the position of the camera and you can see more of the guns now as well to kind of give it that classic first person shooter feeling. Duos in particular I love in first person only because you can do way more interesting tactics like pinning someone down at a tree while your squad mate flanks or vice versa, or you can actually push up on positions when you get into firefights without feeling like that they're just going to pop out and shoot you because they've seen you in the third person camera. It is a completely different experience now. It's way more fun if you ask me, way more intense, and it opens up just so many more gameplay opportunities. So hopefully they'll do some kind of a hotfix soon and fix the lag issues. And as soon as they do that, I'd advise that you get on there, check it out, and have a blast with it. Other big changes in the most recent patch include the addition of a brand new weapon called the MK14 EBR. It's a DMR or a battle rifle, I guess, that can only be found in care packages. Those things are getting very crowded now. Personally, I would take cars, Tommy guns, and perhaps even the M249 out of the care packages and just make them as really rare world spawns. Just have the Tommy gun and M249 in particular as very, very rare and free up some care package space for the good weapons that people want. Now the MK14, I've found it twice. It uses 7.62 and I haven't had much chance to use it. I've got a couple of kills with it. In full automatic mode, the recoil is mental, even when you're prone, because when you go prone, it deploys a bipod. But if you're prone and shooting in semi-auto, this thing can be extremely deadly. Also, the sound of it is incredible. It's got a very unique, distinctive sound. It didn't like blow me away or anything. I don't think this is going to be the new overpowered weapon. Now, if first person and a brand new weapon weren't enough to spice things up to the gameplay, there's actually some other changes that could really mix up the way that the game is played. One of these is the reduction in time it takes to use a first aid kit and painkillers to 6 seconds. It used to be 8 from memory. That's quite a bit of a change, even if it doesn't seem like 2 seconds could make a big difference. If an enemy is pushing towards you and you really need to use a medkit fast, perhaps you're stuck outside the zone or you need to heal fast before the zone hits you, those 2 seconds could make all of the difference. You'll also notice that there's new animations in the game for applying medkits, bandages, drinking energy drinks, using painkillers. It all looks very swish and very cool. And one of the biggest improvements to gameplay though is actually being able to reconnect to the game if you get disconnected. Now, some people are saying that they've kind of disabled this temporarily until they fix the servers. I've not actually managed to use this feature yet, but how many times do people crash or lose internet and then you get frustrated because you can't get back into the game? This is going to make a big difference, but I just hope that players don't find a way to abuse it like they did in games back in the day like DayZ. Thankfully though, some client crash issues have also been fixed, so hopefully that feature won't need to be used that often. As well as that, the user interface has had some updates as well. You can now permanently have an icon on your screen detailing what armor and backpack and weapons that you're using. This is actually more useful in first-person servers because in third person, of course, you can just look at your character and see exactly what armor and backpack you have. But in first person, it's not as easy. So a little icon on the bottom right there will remind you of what you're using, and it's pretty useful. In the bottom left, it also shows you what stance your character is in, so standing, prone, crouching, for example. And now you can also bind certain keys to throw certain grenades, and now all key binds can have up to 2 options. More interestingly, a lot of actions have now been given a hold or toggle options such as lean, prone, crouch and sprint, walk, and even the map. I'd love to see an aim toggle in the future as well. I'd like to use toggle lean, but at the moment if you lean and then start sprinting, it doesn't take you out of the lean. So ideally you should have it where if you press Q and E or whatever you use to lean, the second you start sprinting it takes you out of lean, because I've had a few situations where I've been leaning and I shoot an opponent and then maybe they start shooting back and I need to run, and unfortunately I'm stuck in the lean and it's really hard to notice when you're actually leaning, so you move at super slow speed. So I think it would be great if you're in a leaning position, you start sprinting or running, it disables the lean automatically. And if that was the case, I think I'd permanently be using toggle lean then rather than hold. So some of the changes include adding a lower rail attachment to the SKS, and that means angled and vertical grips, so the SKS could actually be a much more viable weapon now, although recently I've started liking it again. You can pretty much fire it as fast as you can click the mouse, so the time to kill on that thing is disgusting, even in really close range. They've also decreased the reload time of the VSS. Quick guys, let's all go and use it. I still think the VSS is completely useless, but whatever. And there's various other improvements to effects on boats, flat tires and minimap improvements, but the best change was to fix the full auto bug. I'm sure that some of you will have come across this before, where you go full auto with an assault rifle and for some mad reason it will just stop firing and then start and then stop. It will just happen randomly from time to time and it gets you killed on many occasions. That was a really annoying bug, but thankfully apparently it's been fixed with the latest patch, thanks to the dev team at Bluehole for sorting that one out. And I think that's about all for today, guys. Like I said, if you're into first-person games, go and check out the first-person only mode in Battlegrounds. I'm hoping that the hotfix deals with the lag. If it doesn't and you still want to try it out, my advice is to go into a game, jump out of the plane and find somewhere completely away from combat for the first 10 minutes where you can just loot up, because it gets really laggy in the first 10 minutes and it's quite frustrating. So just avoid combat if you can for the first 10 minutes, and then when there's like 50 or so players left, that's when you can really start to enjoy it without lag. Check it out and let me know what you think. So that's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little update video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, a thumbs down. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you in the next one.